Assalamu alaikum. Peace. It's Nyla, Coach Nyla. Welcome. Okay, guys, we're setting up. So just give us a few minutes. Make sure that you're chiming in. But it's Nyla, Coach Nyla. I'm staying in personal relationships.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace. It's Fatimah, Coach Fatimah.
So let know when you guys are chiming in from.
Yeah.
I always say chiming in. But that's not even how you probably say it, you know. That's just me. So make sure you guys are doing that. Welcome again. It's beautiful Sunday. And we're going to talk about connecting. This is the month that we're talking about connecting. That's our theme. And we're going to talk about communication. Part of communication, like types of communication, all that other good stuff. So make sure you guys share. Because sharing is caring.
It is.
And you said who? I didn't start it at all. No, I didn't put a description in.
That's your phone. That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't put a description in. So hubby behind the scenes. So
he's here, y'all. We're not talking to the wall.
We're not talking to ourselves. Talking to the
We're
wall.
hallucinating.
So make sure you guys are chiming in. Last week, well, I guess we'll do a little recap on last week. Last week we talked about connecting. We talked about communication. We actually kind of did it, like a pretty much broad spectrum of communication. That different types.
Yes, we have to be aware there are different types just because they're not our own.
Right.
Doesn't that wrong? But we really focused on, of course, connection through communication. So, and we did touch on its importance. Yeah. So
and
all this stuff is.
Yeah, how to connect. Some. And we're going to talk about that like throughout the month, guys. We're going to talk about do's and don'ts, how to properly connect, how to, know when there's a disconnect. I mean, we talked about that a little bit last week about acting and connecting and what does it mean? Or how do you feel? How do you know when it's a disconnection there? It's interesting because starting this book,
JCM.
Yes. So, we're talking about, this was a cool question. I never thought of it this way, but we're talking about when you're in a good conversation with somebody and you lose your signal, phone,
drop.
The drop, right? So how do you feel about that? Like you get upset, you're like, dang, we were in a good conversation or we were connecting. You got disconnected and you get upset. That we got to look at that like when we're talking to people, when we're talking about there's
not another wife.
So that's how you know. But the disconnect. It's like when you're disconnected on the phone call, when you're talking to somebody you ain't talked to or anything like that. Or like I said, or in a good conversation, you get disconnected, you're upset about it. And it just does something to you. Have you feeling some type of way. Think about
Changes
that
your state.
when you're connecting or you think you're connecting with somebody and then it's a distance. They stare off into the middle distance.
Right.
Something's going on. Their mind is somewhere else.
Yes, distracted.
That's the thing with me. Like I don't know if it's a character flaw or what, but it's a thing that really annoys me. If I'm talking to person, and I realize that they are not
aging.
Yeah. That's what I don't like. Not that I don't like cell phones because I'm okay
they're necessary.
They're necessary.
But
it's just that there's certain things just a few little tips. If you guys are like addicted to your cell phone when someone is trying to connect with you or communicate with you in person, put it to the side when they're connecting with you or communicating with you. To the side. That's a thing that I try to do. I don't do it all the time, but I do it more often because I know how I feel. When when someone does it to me. So if I'm speaking, for the most part, I'll try to remember to put my phone on if they're talking to me.
Yeah.
The kids done it before, like, I'll be
talking to somebody else.
They'll just come and talk to you. You say, excuse me or nothing. Kids will just come talking to you. And then, I'm good at saying, like, I'm not listening to you. Not to be mean, but I actually say,
because that's just facts.
I'm doing something.
Yeah, I'm doing
so
something.
if you want me to connect with you or hear you, wait till I'm finished with what I'm doing, or say, excuse me, just so I acknowledge you. Make sure I'm acknowledging you. So that's that.
Because we want to hear you.
Right.
We want to hear you. We don't just ignore you because we know what it's like to be not necessarily ignored, but if we're talking to someone and they're distracted, they're not getting the information.
Yeah,
so,
then you gotta repeat yourself.
Yeah, and it's like, you didn't tell me that. Or my daughter will go, when did you say that? I'm like, girl, I said a whole bunch of stuff. You was in that phone.
3 times, so yeah. So once again, if you guys are just connecting with us, are you connecting with us?
Hey, us.
It's Nyla, Coach Nyla, personalrelationships.com, here with my beautiful co-wife,
Coach Fatimah.
So, and our hubby is in the background. He'll be here shortly connecting with you guys. We enjoy that and appreciate that you guys are taking your Sunday out to be with us and grow with us.
Yes.
So that's a great thing. And like I said, this month we're talking about connection. And we're going to talk a little bit more about connection through communication.
I had to learn. I'm like, okay, just because the way I communicate doesn't mean
why aren't you hearing
somebody else is good. That doesn't mean the way they're communicating is necessarily wrong. It's just different.
Right.
And that has to be acknowledged, because the way somebody else feels, if we don't feel that way, we need to acknowledge that they feel that way or think that way or just something in a way in which they do. And we talked about introverts and extroverts and quality versus quantity and things like that. And that's so important. I mean, we're different. And we've been compared many times. But we're different, and that's what's awesome about it. We're all different. And we need to kind of know what the difference is so that we can have healthy connections.
Yeah, you can learn from those differences.
You can.
That's that part where it's like, if we're constantly trying to learn and we're constantly trying to be our better selves, be our best selves, then, we learn from each other. The thing is, if I felt like I knew everything, then that means that I can't grow. If I get anything from anybody, even if it's a negative situation. Okay, so let me do what happened. Let me say this was Friday. I don't know, the other day. Little kids. So I had to have a little teaching moment up in there because we were talking about being generous and grateful and different things like that, like the generous. And it just happened to come up on, like, I guess it was this homeless woman. And that's what she said. And I'm like, I'm not going to question it because I don't know you. You could be a plate of food. Seriously, like the last plate of food that didn't, get sold or anything like that. And I gave it to the woman. And then she was like, I need to shower, just other stuff, and, along with a little bit of change. However, I'm hearing these little talks behind me about, she may not be honest. She may not be, hold on, right? And I'm like, so this, I had to, communicate. Like, this was a kind of connection to people. Because here's the thing, you look at us, that we Muslim. You can see that. You see that by the way we dress. My thing is, because people see that, I know that I'm a walking, talking billboard of Islam when I'm walking out, whether I want to be or not. So if there's a person, whether they're Muslim or not, that needs some assistance, for the most part, if I can assist, I will assist. Because to me, is that look at everything as a connection in some way, shape, or form. And I connected, I get it as her connecting with, even if that's not even the case, but that's how I kind of look at it, where if she ever came across any other Muslims, that would be her thing.
Yeah, that would be, she'd take away,
that would be her takeaway. In her mind that, what? They're kind. They do this. They're getting everything like that. And it's totally opposite of what the media is trying to portray us to be. Question a person's intentions or what's wrong with the person. And that's that thing, even with communication and connection. Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more too, about, some do's and don'ts. One of the things is not questioning the person intent. If you don't know, and if the person is saying this thing and you don't have any proof that this person is lying take it as what it is.
And we had just the opposite thing many years ago. Everybody was, and some weren't born. This man was saying he was hungry, so our husband gave him something to eat. This is before polygyny, but he's like, "Oh, I'm hungry." And it's like at a drugstore at Walgreens. And he stuffed it right in his pocket and he didn't eat it right away. And he didn't know we saw him. And so I told him, I said, he didn't eat it. He said, I didn't eat it. He said, I did what I was supposed to do by him. And if he doesn't eat, if he's lying about being hungry or whatever the case may be, that's on him. I'm Muslim. I gave him the food.
Right.
I gave him the drink. And that's it. Because we don't know. And we had to just by chance looked back to back out of the space, we wouldn't have saw that. So that's another teachable moment where we're going, I'm Muslim in the situation, like you were saying, and whatever the intention is what they did. And he blatant, his whole face was like, whatever, because he wanted money. He didn't want food. And that was okay. But you did what you're supposed to do. That's it.
Doing what you're supposed to do,
Right.
doing your part.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, peace, y'all. Ajamu, what's going on, brother? You know, I know some people have already been shouting out, chiming in, or connected from Stan Johnson. Good morning, people. What up, bro? I really want you guys to teach more things about polygyny. Qasim, Suri, hey, assalamu alaikum, out in Minnesota. Macy, Joro, I don't know, but you and assalamu alaikum, sis. Safia just joined the chat. A few different things. We really just talk about communicating, because we do it all the time. We do it many different types of ways. How it really, specifically how it relates to your marital relationship, your intimate relationships. So polygyny or not, Lucy, or like salam wa rahmatullah, chiming in over there on YouTube. So back and forth for YouTube. So if you see me looking down, I'm not distracted. I'm trying to read and communicate with you guys. All right. And what you're basically saying is you're being a receptor, reading a person. All right. You're reading their body language, if you will. So we talk about energy. That's not something you really just kind of put your hand on, like, oh, touch this energy. Oh my God, it's warm, has this aura, whatever it may be. But you're talking about body language. And I'm somebody that when you see me, for example, you may just see me normally somewhere. I'm not just going around smiling and, hey, how you doing?
Never.
I don't do that.
Being extremely happy.
Because people say, you look so mean. My opposite of mean is evidently smiling or something. But I just don't walk smiling. That's not, I wasn't raised like that. Have stuff on my mind, I'm moving. So, but that energy, sometimes some it as, oh, this person looks intimidating. Yeah, that's the word. I heard a lot. He's mean or intense or whatever it may be. And that could be at the time, but I'm not walking around in just a constant state of being mean or anything like that. Right. There's an intense thing,
No, because we wouldn't be here if he did. So that's important to say. I agree with that. That I like to do is if I'm not feeling like I'm being very tentative or something like that, I like to let people know I don't feel well or something like that. I don't want to just show up in a room where they have to guess what's going on. And then I'm very, oh my goodness, I'm a fan of Judge Judy. And one thing about her is if you go in a courtroom and you cross your arms, she'll tell you to uncross them. Wow. Because I can't talk to you if you're already like this, because it's a negative, considered a negative. Relaxing, fine. But if you're showing up, you're closed. Like this, it's confrontational. So she's uncross your arms. When I talk to people, I'm very aware of where my hands are or where I don't want to show up with my arms crossed and start the conversation off in a negative way. Because for me, I'm like, because somebody's closed off when they do that. Most times they're trying to protect themselves.
Body language. Okay. When you said the hands thing, I talk with my hands. That's how I actually, I'm not going to say that that's communicate, but I'm doing it now. That's what I do. I talk with my hands. However, I was thinking about just body language, period. Like you were saying, I was talking about the People looking at you is really intense or intimidating. You just go around just smiling.
Got a mirror in my pocket and I practice looking hard from the 90s, son. Anyway,
So it's
don't download that song.
People do, but that's the one thing too. It's not even us that this is what you are coming off as. It's just sometimes it's a perception. You know, it could be the other person's perception when it comes to that. But being aware of how we are possibly coming across is a thing too. But when you're just walking, like you said, if it's just a daily thing or a day-to-day thing, you're not in direct communication with someone at that time. So, you're not, you're in your own. But
I'm in indirect communication with them.
Well, yeah.
Somebody's thinking something.
Yeah, that's true. When you are directly communicating with a person, that's when you should be more aware, more conscious of what your body is telling them or what your body's saying.
All right, let's talk specifically though, relate to relationships, because we're talking more just kind of some general, which is fine, which is crucial. All right, well, let's go a little bit deeper when it comes to relationships. So what would you say are a few things that are beneficial, that help you communicate better with your significant other or other? And also, what are some things to watch out for? Because we learn a lot also about us. Mm-hmm. So that's important. So I could start there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So let's put the don'ts and some do's. One, a part of communication is also, many times we think it's just verbal. It's not verbal. Actually, the verbal part is the least part, because you're communicating. For example, if you have children, and I know I don't necessarily need to explain this, you already know this, but if you have children and they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, or they have any type of inkling on something, and you give them a certain look, so it's like, or be in public, somebody's not doing something right, you're like, come on, or whatever. Body language matters. One. So we, a lot of times talk about when you have little children to kind of squat down to the level, because that's better to talk to them eye to eye versus you being this towering human figure that's upset and is over them, commanding them, and looking up at you. Now, do I always do that? Nope. But it's best practices. I got a little bit better. So with that being said, don't ask my older children. So that's one. Two is a don't. What irks me is I know part of my use is respect. And I know what I do and operate and display and demonstrate, been as a father and everything else. So don't disrespect me. Now, that can come in many different forms, and everybody takes a certain thing as disrespect. So I'll give you an example. I don't like sarcastic remarking about something that's serious. I don't like a person being flippant. So if I'm speaking to my wife, you being flippant, yes, cut off the communication. I'm done with it right at that moment, or it'll upset me, or we're not going to be able to have a fruitful conversation or communication at that time. So we're not connected, period. So if you got something slick to say, got an eye roll or whatever, I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because my personality type doesn't like friction to begin with, but also feel disrespected. Okay. So knowing that is important, all right, and being appropriate. Similarly, I have to know with communicating with my wives what things kind of irk them or get them, because it may not be the same for me. It likely isn't the same for me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're different. Yes. You know what I'm saying? I'm a 200+ pound dude and they're women. Not they're not women.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if I raise my voice, it's different in the house where they raise their voices. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, just want to kind of touch on some do's and don'ts perspective in a relationship, because if you're not keenly aware of it, then you'd be like, what the hell happened? And the other part is listening. We have 2 ears and one mouth, so use them in that proportion. So at that time, I'm gonna pass it off to you.
Oh, me? Okay.
You want to add to that, sis?
I'm listening to what he's saying, and I'm like, here's the thing. We're, you guys know, we're talking to you, and a lot of this stuff is by experience. Yeah. And it is our own personal experience, as well as experiences of our students and everything like that. So as he's talking, my mind is like, yep, okay, however, and here's one thing, and I'm not going to take it. However, what you may think that is disrespect is not the person being disrespectful. Okay, case in point. So I tend to ask a lot of questions, and I tend to try to get some clarity on some things. And we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
But when it comes to it, it's still knowing the personality type and knowing the person, not how your spouse communicates. So my thing is, if I know, you said, the love language. And another thing is, if I see we don't have that problem much that if I'm sitting there, she's like, okay, well, she just shut up right now.
No. Sometimes we go on for hours.
We might all may think.
No, I'm just saying we might think it.
I said we may think.
We might think it. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for just,
No, we go communicate me for real.
But no, just we might just shut up.
It's a lot of words.
No, but my is when it comes down to it, I do read things a little bit more because it could be an eye roll, or it could be a putting on, the phone, and I said that's the disconnect, and then I'll stop talking. A lot of times I will just stop in the middle of my sentence and conversation and keep it pushing. What was that about? Y'all don't? You said I don't?
No, I'm laughing because that's real.
I'm too
you do.
Because I would stop. And I would stop. But that's the thing though. But I don't look like he said disrespect thing. And I know disrespect is high on his list. And
it's way up there, sis.
Respect. Respect is high on his list.
Yeah, it's a value.
Be clear, it's a value.
Right.
And me, respect is high on mine. However, communication is a thing that it starts to change the respect level and everything like that. So my thing is disrespect to me is you're not listening to me. But my thing is I am different in the way I express that I was disrespected, because I'm a woman and because, it's my personality type. So you gotta be able to, best practices. Putting this in on wives, we assume that we assume that he should know what I'm feeling. He should know when I'm upset. I saw a meme, whatever, and it was a mannequin that was turning the head back and forth and was looking at the person, and he turned back and looked and turned back, and it was like when you are mad and you want to see if he's, paying attention to you, this is passive aggressive thing that's going on.
I just asked.
You're like, I'm mad. He better say I'm mad. We can't. That's not, and that's not the way you. Best practices communicate is be clear. We're not little kids. We're grown. We should be able to do that. So that's my thing. Don't assume. Don't assume that your spouse knows how you're feeling. That they knew that he made me mad, or she knew that I didn't like that. So that's whatever. Yeah. Because she may have done something and didn't even realize. I know I'm good at that, and I'd be like, "What did you just do? How did this go from 0 to 10?" Then a way that an inflection in my voice that I didn't mean for it to come out that way, and whatever. But the way of learning about it is just communicating, or asking, hey, what happened? What did I do? So if, I said, don't assume, but on the other end, if a person felt that you see that it went a different way, like it went sideways, ask. And if it's not time to talk about it, this is a do. Stop the doggone conversation if it gets too dang on me. Don't keep on pushing, because I'm good. No, I'm good at that. Sometimes I'll keep, come on, you're gonna listen to me, or we're gonna finish this right now.
She's such an advocate and so diplomatic. She's far more diplomatic than me. I could be Tupac with my stuff. Like, just zing, and that's it. I walk off. But
so are you saying that you have a lack of self-control or self-discipline?
It depends on what you say to me.
You say it's too big and I walk off.
I just gotta be real. If it was Suge, you wouldn't get a chance. But it depends on how I feel like I'm being talked to, because like you said, we're grown. And so one of my mentors was saying that, he said, we're men. He said, you might give us clues and hints all over us, and we might not get it for 10 years. It's best to just be direct.
Be direct.
So that's where personality types, communication, and connection come into play, because this INTJ we have, what is he, 1976 INTJ? Right. You have to be direct at what you're trying to say, and the beat around the bush does not serve anybody. So I was like, I shouldn't say it, and I should wait, and I should say it like this, and then put the kid one.
That's-
You know what? No,
yes,
he
yes.
much. And then I found out it's much better to just go, this is what I need. This is what happened. Did a fact X.
Yeah.
That's it. It was helpful. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
So I thought because the way I communicate, that wasn't the proper thing to do.
No,
That's
I
what you're
get
supposed
you.
to do with him.
Yeah. No, I get you, which is so crucial. And but it's so crucial knowing how the person receives this stuff, because that was my thing too. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to put it in a way where it's not going to be this type of way.
And they don't
this
want
way,
none of
but
that.
It's like, dude, just tell me what it is. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do it this extra,
Right,
way, or,
exactly.
what he said, I'm a man.
Yeah.
I can,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can take, I'm not fragile, I'm a man.
Yeah.
So it's like, those types of things. And then realize realize that your communication ain't gonna always be just at the top of it. It's gonna be
that's
some
all right.
disagreements. It's gonna be
Right.
sometimes, but don't let that be the thing that say, you know what, we can't communicate
Yeah,
no more.
it's
I
called.
can't ever do
They
this.
call it.
Yeah, just go grow,
Yeah.
grow, learn each other, grow with each other.
And you're not going to get it in one day.
You're not.
You're not going to get it. I think we want so quickly too.
Mhm.
If the person isn't communicating with us in our relationship like we feel like good, we feel like it's shut down and we can't,
Yeah.
get to the point where we have good communication.
Right.
Now, all right, cool. We were talking about some of our previous videos. If you've watched them, whether it's on YouTube, it could be the first time. So if you are, welcome.
Yeah.
If you are watching YouTube, definitely subscribe, like the vid. Feel free to share the vid right now while you're watching. If you're on Facebook and any other IG. So what I can say, what up to lost this is the book,
Yeah.
and we can see from here. So if there's an issue, we might just start. I don't know, whatever. We'll find out. We can see, like all of us,
Yeah.
and then this is not the administrator one looking at the floor, but we can see it. So if you can't see Coach Fatimah, that's crazy. I don't know. We'll try
Let
to
us
see
know
what's
if
up
you
with
can
that.
see me now, guys.
Aisha Mohammed, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Salam
Dion
wa
out of New
rahmatullah.
Jersey, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah with the cats who, I just say
y'all.
a name, so y'all included. Aisha Abdullahi, Ghana. Hey.
Alhamdulillah, Mother Africa.
Okay, cousin. All right, good. Alhamdulillah. So I don't know, maybe it's your phone or what? Maybe it's
I've been here.
So Akil asks, "Wa alaikum salam, akhi." He says, "Assalamu alaikum. Do you sisters still struggle with jealousy? You seem to be great friends." By the way, we are going to take Q&A on this for probably in about 5 minutes, and then we'll address it.
Yeah.
But it's crucial. Now, here's the thing. We were talking about vulnerability. So if you haven't seen our vulnerable video where we talk about that in transparency, then I would definitely suggest to go check it out. Again, we have it on YouTube. It's easier on YouTube, and you can subscribe on YouTube because you can scroll, see all the videos in one area versus like on Facebook, for example. But they are there in our video section on the page. Or, of course, if you really want to go ahead and get the understandingpersonalrelationships.com, subscribe to our email list where we send you out different information, access we don't share on social media and stuff like that. So vulnerability. When it comes to communication, honesty is important. But honesty, if a person doesn't feel they can be honest with you. Now, what I mean is, if it's not open communication, meaning this person might not have my best interest at heart, they might make slick remarks, they might eye roll, they might dismiss me. It's like a child talking with a teacher. You need help with something, the teacher dismisses you, say, oh, you know better than that, or just writes it off, or a parent not listening to a child, whatever it may be. And all of a sudden, that puts a little stop signal. Why? Because I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to have that negative feeling. I don't want to feel less than. So now I'm not going to lie. Just not going to be honest and open with you. So if you desire honest, open communication, you have to be able to receive it. Okay. So you may not like what's being said. I don't like always what's being said. We're humans. There's nobody I agree with that is living on the planet, period, 100%, no matter who it is. Not even myself. I question myself in judgment all the time. It is what it is. But I still have to be human enough to know first we make mistakes. I've been wrong many times, more times than I like to admit in life. I made many errors. Okay. But they built upon the person that you have in front of you now, and so on and so forth, as long as you learn the lesson that moving forward, which can again be wisdom. But what I'm saying though, as a man, especially, that you have to lead. You still have to take control and take charge of things. That doesn't mean this is what I say, that's how it's going to be. That sounds slick. That's not really helpful. When it comes to building a team and leadership is about influence. It's about persuasion, showing the vision and casting it properly in order to forward. So even when it comes with polygyny and you're looking at, you want to marry again, or you want to expand the fam, or you're not satisfied with this level of the relationship and you want to move to a different level, and you have to talk to somebody that's cooperative, one of the wives aren't cooperative, or there's other drama going on, whatever it may be, you still have to have a communication. All right. So whether it's through email, not text, that's very cold. But whatever way it can be, and the reason I say email is because though I'm speaking to you more right now on something, we have a certain limit of words. It doesn't matter which one, they will beat me with their words.
Yeah.
Now, twofold if you look at it, because they can beat you, meaning they've used more words than you, or they can just beat you with theirs, and you got to suffer through the beating.
Or they can do both.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? However, brevity is important. Brevity and clarity is important to me. In order to connect and really understand, I need to know specifically what we're talking about. Like she mentioned, just get to the point. Don't beat around the bush and all this extra stuff. Now that doesn't mean being sensitive, because we like to get stuff. We don't want to beat around the bush, but then at the same time, when you come out with it or may say it, it's blunt. It's looked at as being blunt, because then we go to another form of communication where we talked about, we can speak and we can communicate verbally. But the verbally can be great, but the verbally doesn't say anything about tonality. So I can say, I'm having a nice day. Or I tell you, have a nice day. Or, have a nice day. Same exact words. And we've heard it. If you're a man, you've heard it. That's not what you said. It's how you said it. And you try to rush the emotion like, listen, skip all how I said it. Because what I said, if it was right, then just take it. That's not life. That's not real. We don't want to be talked to and done that anyway. Whether we on a job, for example, an employer come to you, go on over there and do such and such. Now you might know that such and such needs to be done, and you need to get over there and do it. But sitting here looking at the way that came at you, or came at me sideways, or we have all kinds of words for that, right? So it's not just what you're saying; it indeed is your tonality as well, and your body language. And anyone who is intelligent wants to know this, automatically know this, because if you're talking to somebody and you're just using foul language and you're going on and on and on about, but you have a respect level with your parent, or you don't speak the same in front of them, or you go to your job and you restrain anger at your boss or somebody that's a supervisor over you, and you don't cuss them out, so you come home and take it out on the kid or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we have that ability of discernment. It's not just, well, I felt that way, so I had to say it. No, you don't. No, you don't. We're intelligent enough to feel a certain way. To myself, really, what does this mean? How's the best way to communicate this if I want to go ahead and get better with it? That's our responsibility as adults. And we're going to be talking about that this whole month. So with that being said, I've said a lot of cotton mouth as I'm talking to you, and I know you also have some questions. So you want to say?
To get to the questions, just only because we're going to start cutting these live short so we can have more time for the questions, and we do go deeper into what we talk about for the month in our RMIC, our Relationship Mastery Inner Circle course. A part of it, why not go and sign up? I'll say the personal relationship /RM for relationship mastery, but just to jump on what you were talking about as far as, what you say and how you say it and different things like that. And being aware of those type of things, it made me think about that as well. Like you were talking about talking to the kids, at their level, kind of going down, speaking to them. Here's the thing. We're adults. If we're trying to get better, that's why I love that you guys are here, because you guys are investing time into improving on your relationships. And the thing is, to have outstanding relationships, you should learn other things, because I overthink things. I talked about that in last week. I overthink a lot. So my thing is I want it to be clear. The brevity part is the thing that I'm working on, but I know that that's an issue. I know that thing that can cause some issues or some disconnect. So what can I do? So that's the thing. Don't think that just because you don't have it right now, that you're
Yes.
never going to have it.
Challenge
You know,
yourself.
challenge yourself, grow. And I think it was I heard something about the rubber band, you know, the different uses of a rubber band. Bands are most effective when they're stretched.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't with a rubber band that's being stretched. So, you know,
Yeah.
they're most effective. So make sure that you are stretching yourself. Make sure you're stretching yourself in your communication, learning from your
Yes.
spouse, learning from your co-wife, if you have a co-wife, learning from whatever you can get that lesson from, those lessons from, and taking it as such, and improving yourself and your communication in your lives that
Absolutely.
way.
Okay, so the questions do that.
That's me. How you do
You gotta
that?
make sure you
I was
improve.
thinking,
So
improve. I said, going like what I do. I mean, breast
what are like
pads or
two
whatever.
things a person
Two
can do
things.
to have a better relationship with their spouse and co-wife if they have a co-wife?
Listen. I'm not saying listen. I don't listen. That's the main things. I like what you said. You know, and I heard that growing up too. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Accordingly, listen, and don't listen just to rebut.
Or
saying
find
this,
something wrong.
Yeah, I'm saying this as a reminder to myself too. I watch videos when we're done, and because this is still stuff that I continue to learn from, and I learn from us as well. So yeah, listen. Make sure you are trying to listen to understand, not listen to talk over somebody. Another thing is put yourself in that other person's position. Because sometimes it's like me, I, this is what I want to say, this is what I want them to feel out if they were listening to you. You know, put yourself in that position. You know what? I could have said it this way. I would want them to do it this way to me. So if you want them to do it the way to you, kind of, and I'm not talking about, you know, being the talkative one, about I want them to respect me. I want them to understand me. I want to listen to me. Those things, that's universal. So if you want that, give that to them as well.
Coach Fatimah?
You know what? I think about connection. I see people connect, so I'm like more of a people watcher because I am an extrovert, but I'm leaning very strongly toward being an introvert. So I've seen people bully people into connecting with them. Especially with co-wives, I've seen this, won't talk to me and I want to talk to her and she better, and I sent her a gift and da-da, and I didn't get anything back. And you can't bully somebody into talking and communicating with you and connecting. It's something that has to be organically done and it has to be natural. Mm-hmm. And you have good intentions when you're trying to connect with somebody. And in talk about connecting, we'll be talking about reconnecting. You know, if you've connected and then you lost your connection with someone, especially I've seen co-wives have really good relations. They get into it and then they're done with each other. So once you connect with somebody, allow yourself to reconnect with them. Don't go, well, that's just it. I'm just done with her. I'm done with him. You know, because polygyny is it oftentimes when we get mad or that, when you did that, when you did it. When y'all did it. So the bullying part really speaks to me because our personalities are really good together because Coach Nyla's personality is the advocate and mine is the champion for people. So she advocates for people, I champion for people. So in this one, our husband he can create plans for people. All that kind of goes together and we're blessed and we know that. So yes, the mastermind architect that I did know, but I said it different. So at any rate, that's important not to bully each other. And you can reconnect once you just know that if it's not something that's outrageous. I don't like to speak about extremes, but there's extreme cases where you cannot reconnect. But often I do see opportunity or a light at the end of the tunnel where you can, if you give yourself permission to.
If it's healthy.
Yeah.
It may not be healthy at the time too. So that's real. All right. We're going to address some questions and some different concerns and people have. So the brother asked the question, Brother Akil, again, he said, do you sisters still struggle with jealousy? It's as though he knew you because he said still struggle. No, I'm just joking. He said, do you sisters still struggle with jealousy? Can be great friends.
We are.
Yeah.
Indeed, we are.
Saxophonist.
We have become friends. It's not, we've talked about this, all three of us about this. We do not look at polygyny as something that's just individually happening to us. We children, we do want to be a good example, and we don't want to lie about the situation that we're in. So I don't want to get on here and go, oh, we're great friends. And I can't stand her as soon as this gets horror stories in marriage and in polygyny. If I have the opportunity, or if I have the willpower, strength, or the drive, or the ambition, or the need, or the care to want a healthy relationship, because we have many children and they're looking at us, that's just how I'm set up with it. But
Now let's do
Okay,
let's do a time lapse on that as well, because
Wait.
there's a question about how long did it really take to get to that point, because it did start off like that. So I don't want to give you the perception as though
If
we
you're
worked
new,
really
it
hard at
didn't.
doing it.
no.
Go ahead.
My part. Because the struggling with the jealousy part, no. Jealous
Right.
still, yes. And it's certain things, because it's a natural emotion, and it's nothing that is anything negative or envious or anything
Right.
like that. This is how I look at jealousy. I look at jealousy is that you see something that a person is good at, or something that a person has, or something like that, and you would like to have that too. Envy is that I want that person to have it. And so that's where the difference lies with. So I look at jealousy in a different way. She has like these awesome like organization qualities, the way she dressed, a lot of different things. She has these beautiful qualities that I'm like, man, I gotta work on this. Man, I wish I had, man. Okay, I'm gonna tell you one thing, this jealousy part that is a big thing. The babies in her house, they're older. Our babies are that house are little.
Yeah.
So I digress. I just because you can get so much an assistance from older children than you get from little children. You get a lot of help from younger children too. They'll mess up. They help drive you crazy. They help act a fool. All of that. So when I look at those different things, but it's nothing negative. It's like, girl, okay, look.
Yeah.
But it's, and that's the thing. So jealousy, sometimes people look at this bad word, but it's a natural thing that you go through. If certain things that people want, and my thing is I use it to fuel me in being a better person. And that fuel me into being a better person is me even asking her, how does she do these things? Like, she knows how to relax.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not good at
see
that.
to it.
She'll pull me a house at times to show me some different things of how to do it. So that as a thing to fuel me to grow. So I don't look at it as a struggle. So that's why I said that was a word that I was kind of whatever.
We don't
I don't struggle with it. It's a thing that I actually use as something to bring me closer to my co-wife and to also learn from my co-wife.
Well said, sis.
What about the second woman who wants the man only for themselves? I'm just a question.
Slow it down a little. My ears.
What about the second woman who wants the man only for themselves?
Oh, like a second wife coming in wanting?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. The stereotype in the fear. There's several different types of fear, but one of those is that fear of loss. So traditionally, there's a fear that this new incoming wife is going to want onto herself or destroy my family and try to run off them and all that kind of stuff. So, that's common, unfortunately. It's where that seems to kind of stem from.
The thought is common, or it's common that people do that?
The thought, fear is common.
Common at the brothers
because it's a fear of loss.
Okay.
Right.
You got to clean that one up. Okay.
All right. So, as a common fear, we can't really dig too much because did she tell you, hey, I only want it for myself? You know what she should want it for herself? When it's her everything else.
Right. Oh,
you know what I'm saying? People want that. That's human. But there's nothing that you really have all to yourself. No. Nothing. Like, you don't belong to you. Your body is going to separate from your soul, return to Allah Ta'ala. So, we are just passing as travelers. Wives don't belong to, I'm married to them. You know what I'm saying? And perfectly, that stays the case as long as possible until we gone and then reunite
We
in the
don't
after and
belong to our
hereafter.
parents.
But it's just important to it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks. You have to work and focus on your marriage.
And the thing is, too, especially when I speak to initial wives, you were sharing her before he got married again. You're sharing him with other people in the world and friends and business and his time, not yours. It wasn't yours before he got married again. So it's putting things in the proper perspective is extremely important. They don't belong to their parents. So if they did, their parents would prevent their death. If he belonged to us, we would make sure he could stay alive as long as they would allow, but he belongs to his Lord. So you have to put these things in the proper perspective. You shared them before another wife. And I think we put that on the wives, the subsequent wives, and that's a burden to bear.
And as a subsequent wife, just real quick,
I'm
I'm just a subsequent wife speaking from, I don't want him all to myself. That's why I got into polygyny to begin with. not to be whatever, but seriously, it's like,
and I definitely,
it's a thing where it's a whole family dynamic. It's a bigger thing. I mean, it's a bigger picture than to say, I'm gonna take my wife. I haven't met any, and I said that they're not, but I haven't met any, subsequent wives that's mental, and that's what they think. Sometimes they say it's a fear.
Yeah, they're not here to.
It's usually a fear. Now, again, especially at the beginning, that would be a larger fear. Like a sister mentioned that a third wife, a third just joined and said, I want them all to myself. Cool. That's good. That's actually good. That's good. Have your desire, do whatever it is to please, and try to be the best you can be.
You can have whatever.
Okay. So try to be as attractive as you can be, because you ain't gonna be able to keep nobody.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
They have to make the choice to be there and be with you. Frank, what's going on, bro? We do this every Sunday, man. Just to let you know, Frank Nitty.
Mr. That's what our
Mr.
daughter
Nitty.
says, Mr. Nitty.
What's up, bro? We every Sunday, we teach and we share on social media for people. So he just asked that question real quick. Now, there's another question that says, Coach Nazir, brother Kill, do you feel like going into polygyny has matured you as a man? Do you feel the constant pressure on you? Constantly wondering if you're fair. Has it matured me as a man? Yes. Yes, it has. And it's because I tell people you have to be more than twice the man if you're going to be getting into polygyny and you intend to do it properly. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of punks in polygyny. There's a lot of predators that get involved and take women. It's another form of domestic abuse, in my opinion. Yeah. So those people out there, and obviously, this is not what we're talking about. This is not what we're promoting. We let people know to be aware of those things. This is where your wali or your wakil, your guardian, comes to play to try to get some stuff situated properly for you. So has matured me as a man? Yes, I have to deal with stuff. It helps emotionally mature you, because you start to do things that you may not necessarily want to do, but you have to do because there are rules and stuff that are laid out. So you obey Allah Ta'ala first. Allah is, we're gonna return to Allah regardless. This is the trust that I have. So has it matured me? Absolutely. Now I have to look at things from different perspectives. Now I can see a lot more of the wisdom in polygyny in and of itself. You can see some of the benefits and know, and you can truly see. But you can really see it with the family, when you are intentional and things are in line with your values and you're focused on personal growth. So yeah, absolutely, it's matured me as a man. Plus, I've also gotten more gray hair, so it's matured me in that way too.
Matured your hair.
All right. Yeah, the second one, do you feel the constant on you constantly wondering if you're being fair? No, not really.
We don't have.
Not really. However, and there's so much ability within Islam that allows you, everybody's situation be different, whether it's different countries or different days, how you schedule stuff. And, so the flexibility is there. The great part is initially, of course, they'll be more trying to figure out what's going on or trying to see and comfortable enough to recognize you're doing your best and everything else. Does that mean I'm perfect? No, I'm not perfect at all. But I'm not like leaning on, then I'm on. No, but at the beginning stages, learning it and trying to figure this thing out, then both of them were like, "You're not being fair. More for her," and she's like, "You're doing more for her," and I'm like, "Well, evidently, if I'm doing more and more, then that seems fair to me," because both of them think the other person is getting more. So I'm just saying, it's like, we're this or leaning or taking that side, and you're taking that side, and it's part of emotional growth, which again, ensure you to be able to deal with it and demonstrate what you have to do as a husband involved in polygyny. Perfect question. Is there any other questions?
I want to chime in on that.
Go ahead, please.
I think when you do the rules, you're trying to figure them out as you go.
Mhm.
It looks like leaning because you don't know the rules of it and you don't know, okay. I'm like, why is he still in my dining room table sitting there working? He go to the other house. Well, you don't know that there's certain rules and boundaries that you have to set so that things are in order. And if you don't study that or you don't know what's going on prior to polygyny, you don't know you're in polygyny, then that's what happens. It is what it is. But then it's a learning curve. And we have to respect the fact now that we all can look back on it. Now it's, oh yeah, now I get it. It's 10 years later.
No, that's
So-
funny that you said that because that's the thing where it's the balance starts to, that's at the beginning, what is it, the slight edge
It's a hot
stuff?
mess.
It reminds me of the slight edge. But when it stretches out over time, the balance is there because all this was done here. And then
Yeah,
now it's all smooth here. That's why when y'all see this, it was all this work done here. And then
it was
it's
tons.
and it's still work that's being
Yeah.
done.
Let me sum it up like that. When
Yeah.
she's talking about the work being done, when they talk about the grass look green on the other side, you just don't know how much fertilizer on the grass at first.
Oh, really?
I'm just saying.
I'm just
For real, we
saying,
had to
too.
fertilize it a whole lot, you know, at the beginning to get that green
'Cause I
grass.
left-
And it's a blessing, and we're grateful for it. You know,
I
you
left
do
the
have to
chat.
go through it, or what we call through it. And I know I shouldn't even say anything. Oh, you think he's doing better? Because Keena Bina's like, slow like curious. What made you
Is
ladies
that her
think he was
voice?
doing? That's her voice, exactly.
Okay.
That's how I'm reading. Slow
That ain't her
like, she this. Curious.
Okay.
What made you ladies think he was doing more? Basically for the other.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you on my end because she asked, well, I do that, but I would say I did. So
Yeah,
I could
did
tell you
that.
because there were certain things that were initially put in place before I came along, like prayer time mornings
With the kids
with the
and stuff.
kids and different things like that. And then it was just these other things. So the transition, and I talk about it too, but the transition in the beginning was a little rough for me because what I felt like, okay, where's my place or anything like that? Okay, let me just wait a little bit until everybody gets smooth out and everything is all gravy and good. So yeah, I did feel that way. And it was, certain things I learned where the kid time is the kid's time, which is fine. But my time was like, my thing was the kids could come over here. The kids,
And I said, no,
so
they
it was a lot
can't.
of different- so it was a
No, I
lot
don't
of
know
different,
you.
right. So it was a lot of different things that, were
Mhm.
that happened in the beginning that it did make me feel, because I can only speak for myself, that he was doing more. He was doing more on, the initial wife and initial family. I call it. I said, this is the family, and we are the side family.
The
not
add-on,
the side
like
family.
the add-on.
I didn't say side family. I said this is the but I had a word for
Don't
it.
say the Addams
But
family.
whatever. But yeah, but it was a word
as it
that I
ain't the
said,
Manson
and it was that I was feeling like, a second fiddle. And so that was that thing, like my feelings didn't matter when I said it. It was like, okay, well, she feels this way. And I'm like, and I talk about what she feels, but what I feel, whatever. So it's these different things. Of course, like I said, I can tell you.
The stuff that went on, he set that up, and we didn't, like the times with the kids and stuff. It was something intimate between him and the kids where I'll be here to pray Fajr with you all because that's what you're used to. It had nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. So that's for their transition. That's something he offered them so that the age wouldn't be completely rattled. And in hindsight, it's like, oh, that's great. I would never check in or anything like that. But it wasn't something that we had like a meeting about. It was really something that he created for the people that don't know.
No, but that's the thing too, where just real quick, I'm sorry, where when we talk about that, so that's where we talk about communication among spouses, family, and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's the transition.
Point about somebody want a man all to themselves. Again, it can't be right now. The part I didn't chime into the other side of the equation that can be dangerous as well. Okay, because there are people that practice voodoo, there are people that do the evil eye, there are individuals that are so scared, polygyny in particular, and so conditioned society that they try many different types of things. So, sometimes you have to use your really kind of to hone in on your intuition, and also just beware of certain things, because things can happen and do happen, unfortunately. I mean, we live in a world where I don't even want to go in that direction, but there are challenges, and sometimes a person says something, you go on their word, but when they show you something, then you don't make types of excuses for it. So again, we were talking on the positive end, where that can be a good thing, one all to yourself, but then you also have those who are sly, start stuff, they go back and forth and everything else. They're not blessed in the situation. So it can be a danger, but utilize your intuition. Not necessarily want polygyny, they might just want sex.
Snap.
So, I'm kind of going into, because once it states that, and I don't know what the situation is, we don't know. All right. We don't know you personally.
Yeah.
But the situation, she said there was some little chemistry or something between her best friend and husband. So she entertained polygyny, had a conversation about it with her. She was like, no, I'm not interested, but it seems like there's some type of vibe going on. I'm not saying that's what it is, sis. I'm just saying that not everybody wants polygyny. You may talk about it, may be interested in it. But like I asked earlier about it maturing you, and like I say all the time, you really have to be more than twice the man to do so, because you're having more than twice the wives than just one anyway. And then the responsibility that comes from that is large if you're trying to do this thing right and get through and actually have a successful unions versus you just playing games and being, a serial monogamous girlfriend back and forth and jump down, all that type of stuff. That's not what we're talking about. That's one of the biggest STDs out there, spiritually transmitted diseases.
Yeah.
So are you able to utilize polygyny as an economic tool for financial freedom? Is that a myth, or is it really practical? I didn't build it for a tool for financial freedom. Yeah. Okay, I didn't. Can it be? Absolutely can be. I mean, just like the right business team together that's working on their projects and businesses and entrepreneurship and so on. Of course, with the right team, you can win. All right, with the wrong team, you can lose financially. We didn't do that from our perspective. Really can't speak on it there. So I'm not going to look at polygyny as a form of doing it. Like you have nerds or has to go around talking about, if 4 wives and we all make it $10 and I'm making $10 an hour, then after years, $100,000. That, first of all, that's not enough money, and you only make $10 an hour. You all got jobs and bringing it back. That's not family. Or polygyny is the only poly that is family based. Polyandry is not family based. Polyamory is not family based, but polygyny is family based. Okay, so when you look at it, you look at the exact structure of it, it's family based. That's the vision we wanted to have. Or at least that's the foundation I wanted to build, vision I had from that perspective. Now, of course, economics, the polynomial, whatever you want to call it, are important. And so we're working, work together, working what we're doing at Outstanding Personal Relationships.com and our coaching and our different services and everything else. We didn't start it. I didn't start it freezing, but can it be? Absolutely, because anytime you have the right team working together, even husband and wife in monogamy, again, we're not anti-monogamy, we just pro-morals. So you have the right team, right partner, they can help build you up and y'all can win. You have the wrong one, or someone's not going to support you, to tear it down and jack it all up. So good question, though. One stereotype is that the man must be able to care for everyone in the family with zero help. Otherwise, the popular opinion is that he shouldn't practice polygyny. Why is that? Well, it's because as Muslims, at least, now it doesn't go across the board for everybody, those who are not Muslims, but it's a man's responsibility to protect and maintain. So the woman's wealth is hers. Islam came with this, it was revealed to the final prophet Muhammad over 1,400 years ago. So women have their own wealth. Doesn't matter if they're, millionaires, making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. It's still the man's responsibility that has been laid on his shoulders as the man. So it's not a stereotype. That's actually the rule in Islam. Now, can she help and be a helpmate and do that or give gifts or pay certain things? Absolutely, she can. That's up to whatever. That's in some of the flexibility of Islam with allowing you to have whatever agreements you want to have among yourselves. So draw black and white, nor is it a stereotype. That is the responsibility. And if they can't at least provide, now they might not like the person. Now all of a sudden you don't have your own house. If I got to provide it, we all stand in this house and that's what it's going to be. You might not like that, but if that's what he can provide you, his wife in polygyny, that's what you're gonna have to deal with. You can keep your money, do whatever you do, and have the best room in the house if you want. I'm just saying, depending on where you are in the world and what the economy and stuff is looking like, To how you guys have worked that out. This is true. Yes, Matt. Oh, so let me go check Facebook again. I'm going back and forth again between Facebook and YouTube, and we got about 5 minutes to wrap up. We are over because we enjoy being with each other, speaking with you.
You gotta share.
Chuckle.
No, I'm laughing because this is from Frank Nitty.
Mr.
Nitty.
Let's get that correct.
Yes, videographer and the podcast, entrepreneur and stuff like that. Really good brother. So, he says, how do you approach a new woman? Like, do you start dating? Are you always dating like a single man would until you find you really like? Do you meet her with your wife or wives, or do they meet her later? Is it a discussion you had before you commit? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, it's not allowed to sound, so we don't date like that anyway. Personally, I don't. I wasn't looking to even just be participating in polygyny to begin with. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't like, oh, let me see his sisters over here.
Yeah, you know. And I wouldn't do that. But some do help their husband find someone. Some don't. Some know them.
Right.
It's different ways.
It's really networking, I guess, is what it comes to. But again, we must practice it under the rules that go with Islam. So some people do courtship or courting or dating and all that kind of stuff. So we really can't speak that area.
Yeah.
But what I would say, no matter who you are, is the first thing you should do is become more attractive. Okay, become more attractive. So that means work on you. That doesn't mean if you ugly. Well, if you ugly, you should do something about that as well. But I'm being more attractive does not just mean physically. It more means internally. So it means you're a better leader. You can speak better. You can read without issues. You know the difference between and these different things, like you know the difference between there, and there. You like know those. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we're on you. If you become more attractive, then you will likely attract that which you're looking for, or somebody be attracted to you. You know, I'm not that dude that does this type of stuff. I know that there are people that have contacted me. There's been Wakils that have contacted me, the different imams that have contacted, and I'm not open for business. I'm good right now too. So, I'm working on my children get married. You know what I'm saying? That's more important to me. But so I can't answer that question right there. But if you become more attractive, and you get your stuff together, and you become better, then people will be open and more available to you. So that would be my first suggestion right there.
We do not together, Kimberly Banks.
Right, we have separate. We're within close proximity to each other. Yes, less than about a half a mile away, so 4 blocks.
So they have their home, we have our home. He doesn't have his own home because some brothers have both moms. Have a bunch of, we know a brother that has an apartment and he has a place, and then 2 places for his wife.
Exactly. Says it seems comparing. Well, she says, in fairness, a new relationship is still in its infancy, and an existing one has its foundation already. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't it be understanding that if your one is doing more for the existing family? Exactly. Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. And it seems comparing is being exercised, and isn't that unhealthy for the family as
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Well, yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
I'm leaving.
I'm gonna say it depends. But I'm gonna say no. It depends because it's true. Because no. I'm still gonna go to no, because it's not even just the comparison part. It's sometimes comparing, and like I said, it depends. It keeps, what is the word I'm looking for? It keeps things in perspective. If you are seeing, I'm trying to think of the word, but because we are all human, we're human. So there can be some mistakes made, and it could be some leanings, whether or not a person, is something that's here and this was already established, or speak on it. That's the whole communication part. If you don't speak on it, you might be wrong. A number of times I've been wrong. Whatever, I'm going to close my eyes and say that I don't feel this way or whatever. And it's not always as the comparison part, because as I stated before, as the jealousy go and the different things, it's still a comparison thing. It's a thing where I see certain things in her, certain qualities and certain things that I would like that I don't have. Comparing. That's a comparison part. And I don't think that that's it, like I said, depends on what you use it as. If you use it as something that's detrimental and destructive, then it's going to be detrimental.
Divisive. Yeah.
All right, this is why I say yeah. Because I believe that comparison is a thief of joy. It's a thief of joy. I remember reading that quote a long time ago. Because the first thing we do is we become ungrateful for what we have. One. Now, that doesn't mean that's just a general thing, because you compare somebody, hey, this person's been working out doing da-da-da-da, and they had his body, and I'm like, oh man, you compare bigger muscles. Yeah, that's fine. That's healthy. That's good. But in polygyny in particular, for example, my coach Fatimah and I've learned so much too from both of them, so they're my coaches as well. So we've been married almost 25 years, and we have 7 children. So the house on this end would seem to probably be bigger. Then, okay, we have 3 children, 2 stepchildren. So I have 5 children here. There's 7, so we got a dozen. Now, not all of them are living in the house, right? I'm just giving this example. So we have
They were
dozen
at
kids.
one time. They had one
Yeah,
upon a time.
yeah.
They were.
Several years. Well,
Yeah.
the youngest wasn't born. So with that being said, so there's dozen kids, right? So if you compare, say, okay, this 5-bedroom, 7-bedroom home versus a 3-bedroom home, some people compare on that, and that isn't fair.
Right.
Or saying, well,
It's
you know what?
just silly.
They've worked. And then it goes into another question that's here saying, okay, she's seen some sisters say, well, I'm going to stop working if you take on another wife. I ain't about to be going ahead and taking
I've
care
heard
for
that
that.
too.
That goes into that type of thinking as well.
That's
If
my
we're already
money.
doing stuff, we
I'm
got stuff
working
chugging
on
along.
money.
We've been married 15 years before I decided to get involved in polygyny. He decided to change stuff up and do like, hold up, what part of the game is that? Is what it really comes. All right. And then at the same time, it's like, well, y'all got 15 years again. You have all this established, but we learning this is budding. You expecting that it's going to be 10 years down the road after, it took 15 years to get here. That's unfair. You know what I'm saying? It's not right in general.
I do. I get that part. And you know what? It depends, because it's a positive in it. And then it could be, like I said, if you go, destructive and detriment, it's going to happen that way. So I get that. And, oh my gosh, you just said something and I lost it, but I wanted to jump on it because it was really good and I forgot. But
no worries. Inshallah, come back now. So, Abdul Mu'min Amr Robinson says, "So is any information in the Quran and Hadith on how to set up the relationship and structure the environment? You got to be fair. You got to be fair,
And that's big.
and you can't control your heart. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be fair. I think about this. This is really real. Remember, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where Aisha, radiallahu anha, no, it wasn't Aisha. I narrated the hadith. It was a companion of the Prophet ﷺ. He said the Prophet ﷺ taught or treated him in such a way that he loved him more than anybody on the planet. He just knew he was number one because he would always think of him. He would be there and he was present with him and all of this stuff, right? So he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he just knew. So he's like, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Messenger of Allah, who do you love the most? He asked him directly, who do you love the most? Now you must understand something. The final prophet, the final messenger to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, could not lie. He had to tell the truth no matter what. We could abstain, we can lie on certain things, little lie. There's 3 exceptions when it comes to lying in the Islamic law. But the Prophet ﷺ had to say the truth. He was a direct question. Who did he say? Aisha, radiallahu anha. He said his wife, Aisha. Okay, so he's like, oh, from amongst the men. Of course, from amongst the men. Her father, Abu Bakr. All right, Abu Bakr. So her father went on to get someone else. So he was like, okay, I'm mistaken. I thought he loved me that much more than heartbroken. But think about that hadith, right? We could look at it, we could laugh at it stuff now. The Prophet ﷺ, when his other wives heard this hadith. You ever think about it from that perspective? Because it had to get right. So he said Aisha. Then her father, not even me. We've been married. He was married on, Hafsa. Omar's daughter, radiallahu anha. Oh, but think about the hadith. But the Prophet said, in all of his wives knew he had a favorite. So when in his last days, and he would ask, where am I at tonight? They took it as a hint, and they wanted to please him, and stay at Aisha's house, radiallahu anha, and he was pleased with that, and he died in her arms on her lap on her night. So think about that. We don't have control of our hearts. Like I said before, y'all laughed at me, but can't control who you love. You really can't. Y'all laughed at the time. You know why? But this is what I was thinking when I said, I was like, young Layla Rashawn, I loved her.
She was gorgeous.
I loved her. Oh, Vanity.
I was like, she's so.
I loved her. I couldn't control my heart. I
look at
said,
her
when I
cheeks.
get older, I'm gonna marry her.
I said I was looking at her cheeks, but you know, back then you was probably looking at the cheeks. The other cheek, right?
You didn't see that. They didn't show that. No Harlem Nights. But anyway, you can't really control who you love, but control your behavior and how you act, which again, very important.
I mean, yeah, but that's so funny because we mess with my mother, my siblings and I mess with my mom about that, like her favorites, who her favorites are.
Yeah.
And it's this big argument of who her favorite is, and nobody think that it's them. It's like such and such is your favorite, such and such your favorite. And so I'm like, if we all seeing that it's each person that this person thinks that this person is your favorite, then that means that she did a pretty
That's a good argument to have.
Exactly. Use the negative.
I like
that. If she did this to you, that's such everybody. Everyone is chosen as her favorite. Each other, but they don't.
She's
think it's just
fair.
Like if that's what it is, then you did a pretty good.
She did an awesome job.
She did.
Just as her husband always say when he sees her watching us that he ain't looking for a new wife, another wife. You know what I'm saying? But she might be looking for you, bro. She might be looking. Who knows?
Don't say that too loud. Get that brother in trouble.
All right, let me see. Okay. All right, so we got to wrap it up. We already went overtime, so next week, inshallah, we'll cut it down to about half the time. Unless Frank Nitty come through. If he come through instead of the studio, it's gonna be nice. But we definitely appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Perfectly got some information about connecting really through communication, especially with your significant other. And to connect with us more, outstandingpersonalrelationships.com on our email list.
Yes.
You really gonna want to be on that by next week, by Sunday. It's the 15th. What we already have going into this new season. It started at the end of the first quarter. And I don't know if you gave goals already, or if you're working and struggling hard toward them, or if you're looking at really developing stronger feeling relationships in your family or with your loved ones, or expanding your fam. But outstandingpersonalrelationships.com is where you're really gonna find some good stuff. Of course, we appreciate you being here. Share what you got on social media. If you got some good stuff to know, show us some love. Like the page, subscribe to the channel. And yeah.
That was fun. They're fun. They're so much